Christian Bates here with Longevity Power, and I'm going to show you how to make our Longevity Power ice cream from my new free ebook, Longevity Power Elixirs. This ice cream is a cross between a plant-based ice cream and a dairy-based ice cream, but it doesn't have any of the dairy issues that a lot of people encounter with the casein content, the lactose content, but it's also not fibrous like a lot of the plant-based ice creams. This one is very creamy, and it's the perfect, in my opinion, blend of both worlds of ideas on how to make this amazing superfood ice cream. And then we're just going to deck it out with all kinds of tonic herbs for your immune system, for your vitality, for your energy, for balancing your hormones, and for building resilience to stress. And what better way to build resilience to stress than with guilt-free ice cream? So the base of our elixir, our liquidarian rich concoction, is going to be warmed coconut milk. Now there are a lot of different types of coconut milk, including just blending young coconut meat, but in this case I'm using the Native Forest brand BPA-free coconut milk. I like this the most because when they make the coconut milk they remove all the fiber, so this really is like cream. It's unlike most nut milks or blended up coconut, there's a fiber content, a little bit of grittiness, whereas this has 0 grams of fiber. It's actually like an extract of coconut. It's basically an extract of the fat and then a little bit of the protein content. It's almost like making a tea. And this is just the most delicious base, but we're going to add some extra essential fats, starting with this ghee. Now you could add almost any oil or fat to this and it would be great. You could put in pumpkin seed oil, you could put in chia oil, you could put in cacao butter. I used to always make cacao butter the base of my ice creams. I'm going to make this one chocolate free just so that, you know, it's nice to take a break from chocolate every once in a while. And we're going to use some ghee. So ghee is just the oil of butter. It's casein free, it's lactose free, and it's ghee. Usually when you buy ghee, it's usually of good quality, because anybody who's really interested in making ghee and calling it ghee, which is the Ayurvedic term for clarified butter, is going to go out of their way to make sure it's a grass-fed, organic source of the butter. In this case, this ghee is local to me, and you can even make your own ghee out of your own local grass-fed butter. I can't really do butter at this stage of my life. I probably won't be able to for years, maybe for the rest of my life. I don't know. I'd love to be able to handle dairy products in the future. Of course, that would only be the highest quality dairy possible, and the most strategic in adding it in for my nutritional needs. But for now, I just do ghee because ghee doesn't give me any kind of allergic reaction. Wouldn't say I'm allergic to dairy, but I'm very sensitive to it in that I get the mucus, the ear thing, the weird blood sugar effect from that casein content, which appears to my body as a strained indigestible protein. For some people, it's not a problem. So we're going to do 3 to 4 tablespoons of ghee. Coconut milk plus ghee is the true mock cream for those of us who can't handle the casein and a little bit of lactose that's in actual cream. But if you can handle cream, just do some fresh, amazing cream. I mean, it's very healthy for you if it is working for you. Otherwise, we can do all kinds of plant variations. Alright, so I'm just going to actually add an optional ingredient, and that is egg yolk. So egg yolk is a very nutritious thing. It is part of traditional ice cream making. There's 3 reasons to choose to add egg yolk. You could totally skip the egg yolk. It'll still taste absolutely amazing, be totally nutritious, and function in its consistency really amazingly. But we're going to do a little egg yolk for 3 reasons. 1, nutrition. Just adding all these amazing nutritional cofactors. A little extra lecithin, which is a great fat content, great for your nervous system. This is also going to contribute to that traditional ice cream flavor a little bit, but it's not quite necessary. And will also help emulsify the fats, although that's not really necessary in this case either, especially with a blender. If we were to like hand whip this in some fashion, the way the original ice creams were, the egg yolk would make it a lot easier on us. So I'm just going to blend this up, and because I warmed the coconut milk in a pot briefly, just warm, like just above like 90 degrees Fahrenheit, just enough to get all the ghee melted, that will allow everything to emulsify properly. So now we have our base. We're going to start adding in some very special ingredients. I'm going to add in glycerin, non-GMO glycerin. This is one of our sweeteners today. Now you could add in any wholesome sweetener. If you love honey, do honey. If you love one of the semi-processed kind of liquid sweeteners like coconut syrup, high-quality agave syrup, Jerusalem artichoke syrup, if that works for you, then do that. But the lowest glycemic thing, besides stevia, which we're also going to add in, is glycerin. Now, glycerin, and always make sure you get non-GMO or organic glycerin. Otherwise, it's going to be GMO-derived glycerin. Glycerin is slightly sweet. It gives some sweet body to this. Stevia is sweet, but it doesn't give any sweet body to something. So if we just use stevia, the final mouth-feel and digestive feel would be a little bit off. But by combining stevia with another wholesome sweetener, that usually does the trick for any recipe, especially a rich recipe that has a lot of fat and protein. We need a little bit of carbohydrate or fake carbohydrate. In the case of glycerin, it's kind of in between a fat and a carbohydrate. And that will give us what we need, and in my case, I want to be like ultra low carb, low glycemic. That's what's working for my body these days. It's a great way to fend off the critters, fend off Candida, and just get your immune system really awesome all day long, and your blood sugar stabilized all day long. So that is that, and then we're going to do just a little bit of spring water, optional. You can just add a couple ice cubes. Also, since this is already emulsified, adding some ice cubes will help the ice cream get that much closer to being frozen sooner, so that you can consume it that much sooner. It's kind of optional. I like a really thick ice cream, but not too thick, so the recipe does call for 1.5 tablespoons, and that'll get you to more of a typical ice cream thickness. It's totally up to you. If you have it thick, it's getting more in to almost like a frosting, like a really rich thickness, and sometimes I like that. Alright, next is Maca Bliss. We're going for 2 teaspoons of Maca Bliss. This is my product, Longevity Power's Maca Bliss, the 10-to-1 extract of black maca. This is 10 times more potent than any maca on the shelf. It's beyond raw maca, it's beyond roasted maca, and it's also even beyond gelatinized maca, which a lot of people are turning to these days. Gelatinized maca is not an extract, but it's cooked down a little bit, so that a lot of the fiber and starch is broken down, and it's easier to digest. It's also closer to the 2 main ways that maca has always been consumed, which is not raw. Raw maca is great. It works to a certain extent. To get a real therapeutic benefit, you have to consume like 3 tablespoons or more, and that's going to throw off the flavor of our ice cream, and that would make a radish-flavored, fibrous ice cream. Because maca is doing one of the traditional ways, so we have 2 ways of making maca: roasting it or extracting it. If you actually got cut and sifted maca, you could make a tea out of it. And most of the macamides and maquins and the active constituents of maca don't break down with cooking. They're actually fairly stable. So the importance of having raw maca is not very important in the case of this plant. Roasting is cool. It has a nice flavor when you get a dark roast. But again, you're still dealing with a lot of fiber and a lot of that maca radishy flavor. But in our case, because we have an actual extraction process, we use water and alcohol to remove all of the fiber and all most of the starch, most of the sugars that are in maca. So this is a truly low glycemic maca. Raw maca is actually not low carbohydrate. It's not necessarily suitable for those on like an anti-Candida diet. I say Candida because that's the proper way of pronouncing Candida. This is 10-to-1, meaning 1 teaspoon is worth 10 teaspoons of raw black maca, and we use just black maca because that's the most potent phenotype or color of maca. Just gonna do about 2 teaspoons. This It smells like cake batter. Like it just has the most amazing non-radishy flavor. It's water soluble, so it just dissolves in our creamy ice cream so well. We're going to do a teaspoon of goji joy. This is a similar extraction process to maca, but it's of goji berries, one of the top superfoods in the world. And we remove all the fructose that's in goji and concentrate all the active constituents. So we have a much more medicinal way and water-soluble way and very, very tasty way of consuming goji berries. Levity. This is an extract of red asparagus root, one of the top Chinese tonic herbs from traditional Chinese medicine and Taoist tonic herbalism. It is considered a 5-star, meaning the best of the best, herb. It's very nutrifying. It's very calming. It's considered the meditation herb, or the levity herb. That's why we call it levity. And it makes you feel de-stressed. You feel like lifted above the mundane, yet extremely grounded and centered at the same time. It's not going to send you off into la la land. It's not as psychoactive as kava, which also makes you feel very blissed. But it works on different chemical pathways, which allow you to feel very resilient to stress. And all of these chemicals, they're not stimulating. They're not going to have, you're not going to have a high and then a low. You're going to be high, and then you just don't notice the gentle decrease of the initial feeling. But what you will notice is the long-term cumulative effects, which is where the real wisdom of taking herbs and superfoods is. Like, it's great to feel great right away when we take things, and that's important, but it's the consistency and the build-up of our jing, our nourishment, our lifespan. That is where the real wisdom happens. And so when you take something most days for a year, and then you stop taking something like levity, you're still going to keep those feelings that you have right after you take levity. It's going to become part of you. And that way, when you do decide to maybe fast or take a break from certain foods, you won't miss them. You won't have cravings so much because you're already so nourished, so centered, just as you are. This has a very good butterscotch flavor, which will blend itself well with the ghee, which also has a butterscotch flavor. The origin of the flavor butterscotch is from scorching butter, or butter scorch. Now, instead of cooking butter at a very high temperature, which is not necessarily the most nutritionally sound, ghee is warmed to just over 200 degrees Fahrenheit, but not to 300 or 400 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's actually very preserved. It's not truly raw or anything, but that's totally okay because ghee is a saturated fat. And so it's very stable to be able to handle a few hours of heat. It retains all of its essential nutrients. What I'm definitely finding, and this is a topic I've been meaning to bring up, that the whole idea of eating only raw plant foods is an idea. It's an idea that I was strict with for many years, and I've realized that it's just not the case. There are many healthy animal foods and many, many healthy heat-processed traditional plant foods. And this ice cream embodies kind of both ends of actually it's pretty much not raw at all, except for the egg yolk. So this is not raw vegan whatsoever. But if you're into plant strong, kind of dabbling in that whole raw vegan thing, or maybe you've done it for a long time but you're ready to up level even more, this is totally shall we say, in alignment with the idea of eating a plant-strong diet or a raw food-based high-raw diet. It's going to make you feel probably even better than any of the superfood raw-based concoctions you've ever had, because every single ingredient is therapeutically nutritious. Every single ingredient is uncompromised in its quality and in its potency. It's totally different from eating a salad. It's more potent than your average salad, even like an heirloom farmer's market super green salad. This is like a ultimate smoothie, but with a little bit less water content so that it has the ice cream consistency. Alright, next we're going for Hoshu, another bliss herb. This herb from Chinese medicine. This is prepared Hoshu Wu, which is very important. There's also unprepared Hoshu Wu, which is a root, and unprepared Hoshu Wu is not considered tonic. It's a little bit more laxative. Prepared Hoshu Wu is hardly laxative, and it's prepared by being boiled, another heat process, with black beans, and that makes the tonic effects, the therapeutic nutritional effects, become heightened. It's a very dark brown substance. It's high in all kinds of trace minerals, and because it's so high in antioxidants and trace minerals, it is actually known for helping restore hair color and reverse or prevent gray hair. Now, it's not something that I would say this is absolutely going to work for you. I could never make that claim. But when you combine Hoshu Wu with a lifestyle that helps detoxify heavy metals, that is continuously nourishing you every day, a lifestyle full of fitness, a lifestyle full of positive thinking for yourself, where you are adding to your life your mission that you're growing and feeling great, and getting your brain that extends into your scalp healthier. When you have Hoshu Wu as part of that, you have a much better chance at reversing gray hair. And that is something that I would love to see more of. More studies and more personal experiences. If you're walking down Chinatown, say here in the Bay Area, we have San Francisco, a big Chinatown down there. If you see an elderly woman with really dark black hair, she's either A, dyeing her hair, or B, has been taking Hoshu Wu for decades. Hoshu Wu has a very nutty flavor, which, because it's prepared with the black beans, which is delicious in my opinion. It's a little bit bitter by itself, but so is any good flavor. But when you sweeten it up and cream it up, then you have the nostalgic, good, dark, rich, lovely flavors. We're going to do some vanilla bean. This is ground vanilla bean, which is way more cost effective than whole vanilla beans that you slice down the middle and open up and then fillet out the row or the seeds inside. You can totally do that if you have some vanilla beans. Ground vanilla beans are great because the price is like probably 1/3 gram for gram. Like, you could get a pound for less than $100, but a pound of whole vanilla beans would be way more. When you grind this up, the seed pod, which is very fibrous, becomes well ground and doesn't make your ice cream fibrous. A little sea salt. This is some sea salt I picked up in Maine. Just a little tad, 1/8 of a teaspoon to 1/4 teaspoon if you like, and some stevia. So this is the Cal brand of stevia, K-A-L, and this is my favorite stevia that I've found, and I've tried dozens and dozens of stevias on the market. This, in my opinion, to my tongue, and to many people agree with this too, this is the most mellow flavored stevia extract powder ever. It's got the least bitter aftertaste. Why is it white? Well, it's because it's such an extremely potent extract that the green doesn't make it into that fraction. Consider it it's not like a tea, where the extraction rate would be like a 4-to-1. The extraction rate on this might be a 50-to-1 or more. And when you just get that standardization of the stevia sides, there's not going to be much chlorophyll or other pigments that are getting into that. It's not bleached, and they're not adding weird stuff to it. This is 100% pure, and that's why I really like it. So just a little bit here, approximate, eyeballing it. You can do it totally to taste. If you're sensitive to the stevia flavor, which about half the population is, to feel a little bit more of the mouthfeel, then just do like less. Or you could even skip the stevia and do another sweetener of choice. If you really like it like I do, then you could do 1/4 teaspoon. And with most stevia products, the mouthfeel, that weird licorice, bitter chemical aftertaste, comes out more. But with this one, the Cal brand, it's really, really nice. I'm going to blend this up and put it in the ice cream maker. And you can also just put it into your freezer. If you put it in your freezer, it will take at least 3 hours to freeze, maybe more depending on the power and the air circulation in your freezer. So it's a good idea to make this ahead of time, maybe in the late morning, to make sure it's ready for after dinner. Ideally, you like double or triple this recipe, especially if you are going to eat it with others. And if you make a bigger batch, of course, it might take a couple extra hours to fully freeze. It's highly recommended that you get a ice cream maker. I mean, I'm just saying that because you will want to use it. There are several to choose from, and try to get one that doesn't have polypropylene or aluminum in the inner lining of the ice cream bowl, but try to get one that's like stainless steel. There's only going to be a couple, if you search out there, that are truly non-toxic in their chemical makeup. And here it is, our final ice cream. I mixed in some longevity spirulina, which is our fine-tasting spirulina grown at high elevation in Ecuador. It tastes like green candy. And this is just such an exquisite ice cream. It can be used for any meal. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, dessert. It is a meal replacement. So good on every level. Completely bliss-inducing. Deeply revitalizing. The full flavor. It just has this most amazing vanilla malt, like rich caramel flavor. I could, if I was stranded on an island, this is what I would bring. Until next time. Hey, what kind of ice cream do you want me to make next? What's your favorite flavor? Please say in the comment section below. I'll totally make it. Tell me what flavor you want and what effects or herbs you want in it. I'll make it taste real good.
Please leave a message after the tone.